want to do that. We only want to be able to
Or feature creep gets but it's a lot quicker. Um, so I'm currently okay. So I'm currently making an input action. Making an input action for I just made an input action for dropping items as I'm making one to pick them up. Um, Now, right here, I am assigning the input action to the name of them to the input mapping context so that they can be accessed, or I believe that's called a reference. So, as you can see, I've already got a couple made because I'm trying to learn them for quite a while. Once you make them, then you go here and you can assign whatever key you want. If you're using a gamepad, you can use a face button. You hit here, you can select a key using your keyboard or left mouse button or anything. I'm setting drop as G. Someone else said that, and that's a good idea. Now that that's made, I've got code for interaction already. I made a function, um, which this is it. No. That's not the actual function. Function is in, not it either. This one, interact BP, and its function interact example. And all I did was create that, added a function, then renamed it. Filed and saved. Then from there, I went to my player character. Then I went to class settings. Oh, maybe I didn't. Wait a minute. it's working. Yeah, I didn't do it to that. I'm trying to tag it. Interfaces. No. So I go to the item in question, then I add an interact interface. And then this interact interface will reference this code here. Zooming out a little so you can see it all. I want to zoom back in. Maybe make it. There we go. Okay. So, I'm blow my nose real quick. All right. So this is the initial reference to the input action that we made. And for this, it's the use functionality. So I'm making a game like Barony, so it's Baronish. Use IA. Spaces aren't allowed in Unreal for naming stuff like this. Data assets, I guess. To get this, pretty simple. You just type in, right click here, type in enhanced. Actually, not even that. Whatever you named it, if you're using the naming scheme of what other people use, I don't know what it's called. You type in IA. Typically, people would go underscore, but I've got it backwards. This is just me. I might be messing that up, but I already started it that way, and it's so I can tell this is original. This is default. It comes with it, Unreal, if you use the starter pack. These are mine. Okay, so but I would go to use, but since I've already got that, delete it. Triggered means that when I press it, I'm going to do this function, and this function is a line trace by channel. What that does is, okay, so a line trace by channel shoots out a line from wherever you tell it. And depending on what that line hits, different code or can function. And you can specify you can specify what reacts to it. This is the part I'm not quite sure I understand. God, sinus infection killing me. Okay, so you can specify what part it aims at, or what you can specify if the line hits something. You can specify for it to register whether the item in question that it hits is a pawn or a actor or something specific. And then say it is, right here is the does implement. If it does implement this interact BP function out, interact BP this interact BP interface functionality, then the function interact will play. And this branch statement says that if there is a hit, function will play. Otherwise, nothing will happen. And this draw debug distance, if you set it to for duration, you can see the line. And this is math and logic that tells from the spring arm right here, get its world location, and then add that to the player camera's forward vector, which would be 42.57. And then I'm timesing it by, I don't think I even need that. Right. And then that should be the player position. And it should shoot out a ray from the player's position, a line that will check to see if a prop is fighted with, and if that prop has the interact BP functionality and interface, then it will fire off. And this end ray is how long it is. The start position is where the ray begins, and the end is how long that ray is. For the end ray, I gave it the spring arms value plus the forward vector of the player camera. Then it's times a custom float value that I made called interaction distance. And I made it about 550 because that's about how long it needs to be for it to reach the bottom of my cube. I gotta hide that real quick. I'm still working on learning that. And how do I hide visibility? Visible. There we go. Okay. So, as you can see, boom, 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 boom. The array might be a little long, actually. So, that's the situation. I'm going to go back to my test character. I'm going to go to my event graph. I'm going to go to the interaction distance. And then I change this to about 450. Make sure it's working right. Let's reduce it to 350. I think getting rid of that plus changed some of the math. I'll be honest, this is the part where I stink. Unreal. All math. As you can see, the green line is where it hits. And the red square is the initial collision point. Boom, 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 boom. So the red squares are the initial collision point. The green lines are the line past the collision after it's activated. And red line is it just shooting out a ray that isn't active. But if it collides with something that works, see how this one doesn't? Boom, boom, boom. All red. There's no square because I haven't made a collision for it. Well, I've made the actual collision box, but it's a collision box for the physical item. That's why I can not run into it, but it doesn't have the collision required for interaction. This one does. And then it also has it has the same collision that will keep me away from it. This one as well. Might be a little too high, actually. Okay. It's got a little circle collision on it. Wasn't that precise with it. Okay. And then this is a gun that I've made. Yes, I know, very nice. So with gun interactions, you will want something similar to the light, because the light right here is the event function, the interaction. Here's the logic. Turn on, off light, turn on light. And then this is a flip-flop, which will alternate between A and B if you click it multiple times. And then to get the actual event function interact example, did class settings, add, then I typed in interact BP interface. From there, you get this. Now, when you get this, dragging it doesn't work. Don't drag it. Right click it, then you go focus or implement event is actually what it says. Then compile, save. That will implement the interact event. And this, the collision sphere that controls the call and response for the interaction trace channel. So that line that shoots out is a trace channel, and I made that by going to editor preferences. No, wrong one. Went to project settings, and then I went to collision, and then I typed in new trace channel. Yeah, it's on ignore. And then I named it interaction trace channel. Then I created it. And after that, I saved, and it was the compile, save, and then it should show up after you go to custom or after you go to collision presets, because it'll originally be on block all dynamic, but you'll change it to custom. Then you go to collision responses, ignore. Then you go block. I think that's correct. These might influence stuff too. I'm not quite sure. And then yep, I think that's it. Then for the gun, you bring in, you do the same thing. Go class settings, implement, interact BP interface. Then it'll, it'll bring this over here. Right click it. It'll appear here. Then you can drag off it. Then you just make a destroy actor. Because when the gun is picked up, it'll be destroyed in the world and then remade in your hands. At least that's currently my idea. You can add animations to make it smoother. I'm not there yet. Still working. So do this. First shot, I missed it. Second one, I picked it up. Just miss. Then when I click it, picked up. Because I made a print string. Now, what I need to implement now is logic for when it is picked up. When it is picked up, I think I need a bool right now. Or I need a public bool. So I think I get this. And then I go to player gun, visibility, and then I need a way to reference this. Now I go to the gun, then I go to set, no. Yeah, set player weapon. Oh. Set. Maybe just name it simpler. Oh. Alright, so apparently I do actor. Set actor to come. Attach actor to component. Okay, so apparently another function. And I'd name this function what I name it? Player weapon? Pass that one to your player. Something cast that. They shouldn't be doing casting. Be going back to the DP interface. That one. I want player weapon. Player weapon pickup. I was doing good.